So when you were asked to do a dance cover of Total Eclipse of the Heart, what was your sort of initial reaction to that?
Initially, I just thought, no, no, you don't muck around with a classic like that. You know, I have Bonnie Tyler's single in my record collection. And I just thought, no, 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 that's sacrilege. You cannot mess around with a song like that. But then he played me a little bit of the backing track down the phone, and I thought, ooh, that might work, but it won't be right for my voice. It's far too ambitious for me to try and sing. And I tried to sing it, and it just sat exactly where I needed it to in my vocal range. So I went over to his studio and recorded it, and we sold some 12-inch singles around clubs and so on. And then the Energized guys and John all knew this guy called Pit Stop. His real name was Peter Thompson, who worked at PWL and Stock Aitken and Waterman Studios in previous years. And he was now working with Mike and Matt at their new venture, which was called Love This Records. So he took a copy to them and said, what do you think? And so they then decided, yeah, we can do something with this. So they made a more mainstream version. And even then I was invited in to meet the guys. And I thought, oh, that's nice. They're going to thank me for doing all this. And they're now going to get a proper singer on board. But no, they talked about, right, well, we'll keep the backing vocals as they are, which were John and I, John and me. And then they said, but we want you to re-record your lead vocal. So I did that. And yeah, it all just took off from there, really.
Yeah, and of course that's Mike Stock and Matt Aitken of Stock Aitken and Waterman fame.
Yeah.
Obviously the Hit Factory, huge guys, massively influential in the 80s. What was it like working with them? What was that like?
The first few days, it was just surreal. Yeah, totally surreal. I mean, these guys were absolute legends and icons. And I couldn't believe that, you know, this pub singer was working with these amazing icons and going in the studio and seeing all these gold records around. But it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. So much so that some years later I worked with Mike again. But I really did. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I went through a slipped disc at the time, and they couldn't have been more concerned and caring. You know, when I was going in, I was recording the first album, and my then husband was driving me in. I was laid on the back seat of the car. I saw a lot of London, actually. It's amazing what you see when you look up. And so we'd get to the studio, and all day, both Mike and Matt would say to me, if you need to sit down or lay down or do anything, just let us know. But it was great. They were very, you know, considerate, and gave me some wonderful songs from that first album. And I had a ball working with them. You felt this great buzz when you were working with these guys. You know, they loved being in the studio, writing their songs and then producing them. And as a singer, to be there working with them was just a joy, a joy.